guys are feeling dead inside, maybe. Crocodile Dundee, baby. You guys hear me okay? How about the music? I blame the music. Let me turn that down. Oh wait, good part. I decided a while ago to make a song. I want to make a song that was like all about shadow work. Getting know that darkness inside you.
This time, for sure tell. You there in
I get a wet kiss? Thank you, Order of the Black Dragon.
were you looking at? Your eyes, they
That's alright, guys. I'll be turning the music down in a second.
your thoughts on
Good point, Gar. Yeah, okay, people are saying, I'm gonna turn the music down. Sorry, guys.
of someone
Hopefully that's a little better.
we can.
I put the link to the song if you guys want to hear it without me talking over it. In fact, let me cut this out. Oh wait, good part. Alright, that's good enough. Alright, what's up, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between? Let's see, make sure everything's running good. Stream looks good. Chat's looking good. Guess I don't need anything else. Make sure I can kind of see myself. What's that? Sounds good now? Yeah. Okay. So, hello and welcome and good evening, everybody, on this beautiful Thursday evening. Once again, coming at you live. Try and do sort of untangle the mess of all of the various things going on in the world. Talking about magic, spirituality, current events. We'll be talking about a whole bunch of different things tonight. Really, whatever you guys want me to talk about, plus whatever gets me going. First, let's do the usual, and let's say hi to all of our regulars and all of our newcomers tonight. If tonight is your first night, you must leave a comment so that I know you're here, just like Fight Club, except this is more like Hello Club. Order the Black Dragon is here as always, talking about Chinnamasta. Chinnamasta is pretty cool. Interesting deity. Not my cup of tea, but not a bad, interesting dark side. I guess it's a little dark side. I don't know as much about it, but I did look into it. It's pretty interesting. Raquel Kelly, what's up? She says, hi, Dragon. I guess she's saying hi. It's a dragon. Order the Black Dragon. You guys were here early. Man, you guys are chatting it up. CJ's here. What's up, CJ? We'll be hopefully hanging out sometime in October. Jockster's here. What's up, Jockster? It's been a minute. Star Ruby Corsi. It's been a minute for you as well. Good seeing you as well. Jason's here. What's up, Jason? Hopefully everything's okay. Let me know when you want to do another meeting. I think was it this week or next week? Yeah, either way, let me know. Let's see. Integrity and honesty equals wholeness. What's up, equals wholeness? J. Baldel. Hail, darling perpetrators of wickedness. And of course, Gar is here. Thank you, Gar, for that compliment about my music. Twilight, son of Lilith. Infernal blessings, fellow God. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Indeed. I love integrating the Gnostic pattern, as I call it, into my practices. As you know, I've always enjoyed that one. Twisted Jack with the musical notes. Thank you. Alpha Draconian. What's up, Alpha? Frank Schrodinger talking about my Crocodile Dundee look going on tonight. I figured I'd wear the hat. It's a little easier than doing my hair up. Jasonius Arcanum. What's up, brother? Good to see you. Gogo's here. He says, hi, legend. How are you? Let's see. Who'd I miss? Oh, Patchy Work. He says, hey, brother, having some trouble hearing you. I hope you can hear me good now. I'm sure it was just the music from before. He gave me a couple. My goodness. You got to start tipping other people, brother. You're gonna end up spending all your money on me. You're like my #1 patron here. Maiden of Liberty with the cigarette break. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Let's see what's going on. And yes, for those who are questioning, that entire song was by yours truly. The music, the audio, the whole, the singing, everything. I tried to make it sound disharmonic and then get a really good, like 2 or 3 part harmony going with myself. So it, it sounds discordant, but yet at the same time, melodic. So it's not completely off. Like, I'm not tone deaf, I promise you. It's I was actually going for just a slight little, just to make it sound discordant but not off. And I think it worked pretty good. I used to be in a band mostly to play the flute, the bamboo flute of all things, which is, most people go like, Thorne playing a flute? I would have pictured you for anything else. But yeah, no, I play the flute and I sing. That's what I did the best. Solora S says, pleasant good evening to everyone. What's up? And Integrity and Honesty says they're new here. That's good to know. We will make sure to curb stomp you with our crazy ass conversations. Alistair the NP Demon says, yeehaw, chuckle fucks. Hell yeah. Yeehaw. Let's see. Let's see. I think we're getting everybody. There we go. Yep. I think I got to everybody. George Coggins. What's up, George? Greetings from Scranton, Pennsylvania. You know, you probably remember me saying that my wife and I almost almost were neighbors. We called it Los Scrantos when we were hanging around in that area. We were thinking about moving into the Hawley and what was the other part? Hawley and Honesdale. Like, we were looking at that area to like buy a house for a little bit there. And we actually found a place almost in Scranton. And it was a nice place. It was on Elm. I think it was on Elm Avenue or something like that. And you could it actually overlooked Scranton. And it was like a nice little suburban backyard neighborhood. And just down the street was green belt for like miles as far as the eye could see. I know Scranton has its element that's not good, but it was in the nicer part of Scranton. But we were driving past, and for some reason, something about like the overlook and the whole drive reminded me of playing GTA 5, and almost like, you know, when you're crossing the mountains and getting into Los Santos with the interstate and all that stuff. Something about driving past Scranton reminded me of that, and I just started calling it Los Scrantos. I was like, if we live here, we're going to call it Los Scrantos. So we couldn't have afforded that. We almost bought that in 2020. Could you imagine? We would have been bankrupt. Yeah, like all of Scranton's not that bad. It just depends on what part. Like, I think some parts are really nice. Some parts are like, you know, you might want to be strapped at night. You might want to be strapped in the day too, but you know, seemed all right. You know, you got like that nice water park or whatever on the other side, and there's definitely some rich areas over there. So it's an interesting little microcosm of a city. It is interesting, and it did look. I still wouldn't mind moving to that area. It's just finding a place that's not either ridiculous expensive or so far off a dirt road, or that isn't just solid stone as your backyard, or, you know, but Hawley and Honesdale as little small towns are like, they were just cool as hell. Phoenix Rises. I just changed my channel name because this fits me better. Good. Yeah, it's a nice area. I think what I like about it is it's still within very easy driving distance of, you know, my hometown and all that. Like, it's like a couple hours drive, and you could easily go to, you know, Philly, Newark, New York City, you know, to catch the bigger culture that's there. Yeah, I agree with you, George, because, you know, I grew up in a bad neighborhood, at least for a number of my formative years, and I'm not too weirded out by bad neighborhoods. It really depends on you, in my opinion. Now, there's an exception. Like, if you go into like the worst parts of like, oh, I don't know, Harlem or something like that, as, you know, me with my complexion, there's a higher chance of getting harassed. But honestly, I've never had a huge problem. Usually I get along with everybody no matter where I go. So like, I usually get along with everybody. Like, it's not usually a big deal for me. Even if someone's fucking with me, I usually know how to react so that they don't treat me bad. Obviously, somebody wants to mug you. There's only one thing you do. You either just give them the shit or you fucking, you know, defend yourself. That depends entirely. Most people aren't here to fuck with you. Just because it looks like a bad neighborhood doesn't mean you're going to get fucked with. That's something I've learned growing up in those areas. But if you look like you don't belong there somehow, you know, for example, like, I don't know, I guess I give off the vibe of someone who belongs wherever he is, or is either just so weird that people don't, like, they think I'm crazy, I guess, so they don't fuck with me. I guess when you walk around looking like the Undertaker at all times, I guess you kind of get a pass from people, because they just, you know, they might make a little fun of you, or they might be playful with you, but they don't usually fuck with you too much. Not in a bad way. Like, they'll test you, they'll try you, as we would say it. They'll try you, but they won't actually put it to the test. You know what I mean? I remember going through Jamaica in the middle of the night, Jamaica Station in New York, or like Wyandanch, if you know Wyandanch. And I always get along with everybody, you know. Back in the day when most people smoked cigarettes, the secret was always have cigarettes that you could hand out if you needed to. Hand out loosies if you were ever in trouble. That usually gets you out of a bind pretty easily. Most people are pretty happy to get a loosie. But it's not too bad. Let's see, more people are saying hello. We've got Ninurta. What's up, Ninurta? Yes, the weather is pretty fucking bangarang right now. I got to admit, it turned right to my favorite part of August this week. Like, I love August. I love late August, early September, all the way right up until around like early October. Like, once you hit October, it can start to get a little too cold for me, for my preference. It's still cool though, right all the way into December. But I like, for me, it's my like just mwah time of year is now. This is mwah. I love going out at night because I can wear a sweater or a light coat. I feel badass, and it's just gorgeous out. The stars are twinkling. It's just comfortable. The breeze, you feel the fall coming. It's literally nearly perfect for me. Like, and it's green out. It's not like the spring where it's not yet green and you're getting sticks, you know, and all that. This is like perfect for me. Perfect. And you still got the beautiful sound of the crickets and everything. Oh, love this time of year. Love it, love it, love it. So yeah. Yep. All right, let's say hi to everybody else who's saying hi. Lilith 1984. Hello, brother. What's up, Lilith 1984? And Twisted Jack, having resting bee face helps scare them off. You're not wrong. I don't know if, do I have, what do I have? Do I have resting bitch face, honey?
No.
No? How about now? I don't know how to do resting, but I have a very neutral face. I don't really make, yeah, I don't really make lots of face. Alistair the NPD demon says, what if I make fun of the guy mugging me? They might actually like that. Depends. They might laugh as they pistol whip you. Psychotic Talil says, hail from Italy. It's been a while. Yes, what's up? People talking about the hat. Double down on your Qigong practice and you won't be cold in winter. Honestly, dude, try losing 100 pounds. When you lose 100 pounds, you have to practice extra on that Qigong because you go from having insulation to nothing. Twisted Jack says, hail. Hatter of Italy. So, all right. Anyway, let's get on to the subjects at hand tonight. What do you guys want me to talk about? Let's see how many viewers we got first of all. Are we up to the 30s yet? Yeah, 33. What is it about 33 viewers and my live streams? It always seems to cap at 33 lately. I haven't seen my live stream go above 33, really, in like a year, but I haven't seen it go much lower than like 20 either. So it's like I only have 33 viewers anymore, or YouTube is somehow making it so I only see 33 of you. I don't know what's going on. Oh, it just hit 34 for a split second. All right, I guess I was wrong. It does seem a little weird though. I know part of it is that I have not been so active, so I can only blame shadow banning so much for talking about verboten topics. But I know a small part of my decline has been a burnout. The fact that I just am not putting out as many spiritual videos besides these live streams, but there's, I think, good reason for it. I think a lot of you guys now understand why I have been so distracted and focusing on other things. Most of my energy has been poured into these other real world issues that are going on. So I only have so much energy and time in the day. I focus so much on my own gnosis and achieving certain realizations, and then writing my book, and then dealing with this crap that is going on. And the crap that's going on is so multidimensional. You guys may not even realize it. You have the dimension of politics. You have the dimensions of social unrest, upheaval, culture war, like, you know, what's right and what's wrong. You've got censorship. You've got all of that shit. Then you've got spiritual revolution where people are starting to awaken. I can tell you, as a content creator who searches for things sometimes to study, and also just for other interesting people creating content just to keep me motivated, the number of people who actually get it, in other words, the deeper truth, is definitely on the rise. But there's also, with that, a whole fuck ton of people that are into the superstitious crap that doesn't have the depth. You know, if a lot of people, it's still throwing salt over their shoulder, and, you know, that's not to say it's not a valid thing to do, but it's just that stuff. You know, it's not, there's no deeper. It's like someone who's learned how to use, I don't know, email versus someone who knows how to build a computer versus someone who knows how to program a computer. When it comes to my spiritual technology, I'm more into the programming and building computers. I'm a lot less into how to do email. You know, I'm not into the practical stuff as much. I'm more interested in the deep gnosis. My practical knowledge is very basic, and half the time I do like chaos magic, as in like not using the energy of chaos. I mean the style, you know, the eclectic style. Almost making it up as I go along. So I'm not really deep into the whole, you have to do this, turn around 6 times. I am way more psychological in my practices and way more intuitive. So there's that. So I'm watching that. The whole world is starting to wake up. And then you have the historical awakening that's going on, where more and more people are questioning the official stories about history, about where we come from, about the origin of things like the pyramids. Was Atlantis real? You know, did we throw the baby out with the bathwater when we dispensed with the stuff that the bad guys from World War II were finding out about history? Was it all evil, bad, you know, propaganda, or was there truth to it? You know, there's so much stuff that's starting to trickle or even pour out, depending upon who you're asking. You know, that it's so much. And this is why I keep saying the Great Awakening is happening. There's no question in my mind that the you know, the cork has been popped, the toothpaste is pouring out of the tube, and the elites, the various bastards of the world, they are having a hard time stemming the tide. And every time that they squeeze tighter, with their grip on what can be allowed to be said or discussed, more people want to say it. It's the Barbra Streisand effect. The more they try to stifle us, the more we go underground, but that underground cracks up through the fucking surface and everybody finds out. So it's accelerating. All of that's accelerating. Now, me personally, I think that this is all by design and by plan. I don't think that anything that we're witnessing in society is organic. That is to say, it's not by just chance and circumstance. I believe that there is, you know, as I call it, Trump and Co. Trump is just the front man for a counter cabal, if you will, that is countering the New World. You don't have to like him, but at this point, it's pretty obvious if you're paying remote attention, you're being objective and thinking critically. It's obvious that he is not by himself, no matter what it looks like. In the mainstream, if you're really delving deep into the connections, that motherfucker has the military behind him. I mean, the real military. He's got foreign governments behind him. This is going to be over within a year or 3. The phase will be over. I predict will be over. We'll see if I'm right. I'm hoping I'm right, because there's no way I can know for sure. But as part of that, the whole cabal of the New World Order and their efforts to stifle things is coming apart at the seams. You have Disney going bankrupt virtually. You have all of these other corporations that are pushing the propaganda that is being forced to be pushed by BlackRock and Vanguard. Trust me, half of these companies do not want to do this. It's not their policy to be pushing the woke crap that 90% of this country and this world doesn't like. It's not that 90% of the world is a bigot. It's that we know we're being propagandized with bullshit that is toxic and meant to divide us. So we reject it. All this time people said, oh, you're a racist, you're a bigot because you don't like. No, it has nothing to do with that. I know I'm being propagandized. I know when they're pandering, and I know that this is basically what they do in communist China. I have enough friends from around the world, and I've seen enough people doing these things. I've consumed Chinese, stuff a little bit, the little samples that I've gotten. Everything you're seeing is a lot like what they do there. They just ramrod you with their narratives, and everybody knows that that's what it is, and they just kind of look the other way because what can they do? They just have to tolerate it and live. Okay? So we are literally watching the collapse of several institutions that it's going to be a bumpy ride. We're only in the beginning of the bumpy part. And the bumpy part is being engineered on purpose to help wake up people. People are seeing the worst of things because we are meant to awaken because of this as a civilization. Humanity is meant, we're being offered two options. Go into the dead of night, into the dark of night without any fucking resistance, or wake the fuck up and resist. Which do you want to do? Well, until recently, most people would have just went into the dark of night because they didn't know better and they didn't want to cause a scene. But now that thing is coming, the push is coming to shove, people are waking up. Who do you think set that in motion? Do you think it was just Orange Man because he became president? No. If you think it's just one guy and his little administration that is causing this upheaval, you are really not. Trust me, I like to be a little snotty and say that people who consider themselves spiritual prophet types, who divine and have any kind of premonitions and insight and intuition and all of that, if you're looking at this and you are stuck at that surface two-dimensional level where you think it's what the media is telling you and you think that this and that, you're blind as hell, and I wouldn't trust you to do a reading on me ever. I don't trust you. It's one thing if you're wrong now and then. It's another thing if you it's one thing to be wrong now and then in your predictions. It's another thing to just have no real understanding of what's going on at all. No vision at all. You don't even have to know the facts of it. If you can't feel it, because I can feel it. Like my wife and I can feel it. I was asking my wife today, what do you think is happening? Are you just agreeing with me to be nice to me, or do you see what I see? And she says, no, you can feel it. You can feel that this is all happening by design. Now, you can add many layers of this. You can be like Jasonius and say that there's like a spiritual part of this, and I think there is too. You can say that it depends on how far you want to get into it. I don't think he's wrong for that. I think that's completely true. Do I think that it's like, God's up above forcing all this? I think that's a little too literal an interpretation of the myth personally, but there's different planes of reality, and on a higher plane of reality, maybe it's exactly what's going on. It's just down here where we are in the trenches, it looks more mundane than that, but it's not mundane. That's the thing. People have to realize there's a lot more going on right now than we know. And I only like to really openly talk about things that either I am very confident or know for sure. I don't like to say, oh, I think it's, the Anunnaki are coming back or something, because I don't see any evidence of that in the way that other people do. Do I think that there's evidence for the Anunnaki? Of course there is. The mythology, there's evidence, whatever they were, maybe that was what Atlantis was, or maybe they really were aliens, or whatever the hell you want to think. Something went on. That much is for certain. I don't really know. It's not really my wheelhouse to know. I prefer to go with the non-woo sources for that. What by that I mean, I don't like to go by people who just did some Ouija board shit and say that they've been talking to Xenu or whatever the hell I know who that is, guy. I know it's not an Anunnaki guy, but you know what I'm saying. We're talking to whatever spirit that they think and blah, 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 blah. I would rather go by sources that have their feet on the ground and augment that with that other stuff. In other words, I like people like Uncharted X. I like people like Graham Hancock. I like people like Randall Carlson. I like people like Bright Insight, and I like people like Robert Sepper. Give me those people, whether you think they're great or bad, whether you think they're right or wrong. Give me those people as the foundation and then build from there, because they're doing it the right way for the most part. They are doing the research rationally. They're not jumping to conclusions, and they're not using fucking Ouija boards to get their foundation together. Once you've got your foundation in place, then you can add to that. You got, all of these people have layers, or you can add layers to it, of understanding. And you can go back into antiquity, and you will find out that everything that you have been taught about history, especially ancient history, is mostly a lie, or it's based in lies, or it's 80% truth, but the 20% lies is what's killing you. It's like poison. You can have a big, beautiful goblet full of wine, and just that little drop of powder in there will kill you. Just that couple grains of iocane powder, like from Princess Bride, will kill you, And it's the same thing here. The poison information that they drip into facts gets you every single time. And it's very difficult because you can't always spot it. You literally just can't find it every time. So that's the challenge right now. And that's sort of what I'm talking about. The Great Awakening is multidimensional. It's political, it's social, it's spiritual, it is magical, it is universal, multiversal. This is the times of legend coming back, okay? And I think in our lifetime, we're only going to see so much change. I mean, we're going to see a lot of change. But if you think that we're going to all be like floating around in spaceships and all kinds, I think that's a little too much. I think that we're going to go through the next couple of years. It's going to be hard. It's going to be bumpy as fuck, especially next year. I think next year, all bets are off. My wife and I are making a list of, we're going to top off a lot of crap that, we think we could run out of next year that would be important. So we're getting some extra toilet paper. We're getting some extra food. We're getting some extra this and that, because looky, they're starting to roll out the narrative of lockdowns and all of the, Branch Covidian bullshit again. And they're really just rolling that back out because they're getting desperate more and more. Or the other side of that narrative is that that's by design by the good guys to scare you all awake. I don't know which it is. Don't care. All I know is that what I'm going to do is basically the same either way. I'm going to be preparing for the worst and planning for the best, because when this is over, which I believe it will be, at least this phase of it, this time 2 years from now, we'll say, I think that we'll be looking in the rearview mirror of at least the worst of it. I'm not saying it'll be great, but I think we'll be at the point where it's like, let's say you've had an accident and, it's hit or miss, and they might have to take your leg off. You don't know. Well, but then you're still in the hospital, but you're on the mend. I think that's going to be 2 years from now. I think that sometime by the middle to end of 25, it'll be clear. There'll still be a lot of upheaval. There'll still be a lot of chaos. There'll still be a lot of shit, but you'll be able to see that the right people, or when I say the right people, I don't necessarily mean people you agree with, but the right people are leading us towards a better future. That's what I think. Now, here's the other side of this conversation. If you're sensitive enough, you can actually feel the flip-flopping of a timeline split going on right now. Now, timeline splits, they can be either one event and it just splits like that, or there can be a massive split where there's a whole bunch of off-ramps to similar timelines that because there's so many events building into one fork in the road, if you will. And there is the New World Order wins path, where everything that we're seeing is literally not what I'm saying. The good guys are going to get railroaded, and by this time next year, they're going to start rounding people up and all of that. And then there's the timeline where the good guys end up, well, I say good guys with air quotes. They're really strong air quotes, by the way, because if you understand my understanding of that, I don't believe there are actual good guys. I think there's guys that I prefer. I'd rather deal with them than the other alternative. But the good guys, you can feel that split going on too. Now, for me, I feel it like this. 1 minute, I see, how is this possibly going to get better? It can only get worse. And then I see, I see how this could be similar to that QAnon plan, like what's going on type of thing. And I see that side of it. And I'm not wavering. I'm definitely getting pulled all the way towards that good guy ending. Which exact good guy ending on that spectrum will I end up on? I don't know. But I do know that all of the ones on that side are way preferable to the other side. To the point where it's like, if I'm wrong, I've said this and I'm going to keep saying it, there's a good chance I'll have to check myself in for a while and then I'm going to disappear. I've told good friends, like, if I'm wrong about some of these things, it's not even about like my ego or so. It's literally like, if I'm wrong, it's like being wrong about the asteroid being deflected. It's going to hit us, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's like, what's the point? So if I'm wrong, I'm literally just going to go off, right off into the sunset. And if I still continue online, it will be, I'll probably be away for a while. We'll put it that way. Because if the alternative happens and I end up in that timeline, I don't want to be here. I'm not going to be here. One way or the other, I'm either going to disappear or die. You know what I mean? So not interested in that one. And I'm going to keep pushing for the right one. But I want you guys to know that right now, if you're here with me talking about this, chances are you're going the good guy side of that timeline split. Chances are. Because I'm getting more confident every day that I'm on the right one, which means if I'm wrong, it's going to hurt more if I'm wrong. I like to keep an opener mind than I have right now. Maybe it's just wishful thinking, but it's probably going to go the way I want. So I'm anticipating a really bumpy ride for the next 1 to 3 years. After that will be the time of rebuilding, the time to do everything you need to do and get yourself in a better place. And when that happens, I think we're all going to be happy for it. That doesn't mean that everything will be perfect. We're going to have to rebuild certain institutions from the ground up. The entertainment industry is going to be gutted when this is over. It's already being gutted. I don't know if you notice. Disney just had a huge stock fall. Their stocks are lower than ever because people are saying, oh, it's because of their bad, movies. That is true. But if you know some of the more inside baseball, you know that there's things going on behind the scenes that are cleaning them up from within. And that's partially why they're getting fucked. They are meant to collapse. They're probably, don't be surprised if Disney ends up breaking up. The Disney brand will always be there, but don't be surprised if they break up or get sold to somebody or something like that going forward. Don't be surprised. And that's just one example. There's a lot more. Okay. So going forward from there, I don't see as clearly, but I predict that eventually there's going to be conflict with Europe because the bad guys are consolidating in Europe. There's no question. Will they succeed with that? I don't know, because they're going to have a multiple front problem. You've got Russia, you've got China, you got America, and we're all going to be, probably Brazil, all the BRICS nations, India. They're going to end up forming a new paradigm, and Europe's going to be out in the cold because they're basically New World Order captured. You have Canada, Australia, EU, and a bunch of other nations that are a little bit less maybe pivotal to this. You've got the South American countries, Central American countries, which I think America is going to stabilize in the next couple decades. I do, because if the good guys really take over, then it's in their interest to stabilize South and Central America, especially Central America. It is absolutely in their benefit to make countries like Guatemala, Mexico, Ecuador, to get all of them into a more stable situation, so that, number one, you don't have so many people trying to get here. Not that there's anything wrong with people coming here. I am not one of those people. I do want them here legally. I want them to come over and get a background check and do all the stuff they're supposed to do. I don't have a problem with people coming over. Even if they come over by the boatload, I really don't give a shit, so long as they are background checked, have a job, the basic shit, the shit that would be expected of me if I went to another country to live. Okay? I'm not being unreasonable. But we'll probably end up helping stabilize those countries, and then you're going to see a lot of shuffling of the board. And what I think you'll see, and like I said, this is just I can only see so far in advance, with clarity. But I think we'll see a conflict of some kind with Europe, basically the New World Order, how it consolidates in the EU, Australia, maybe Canada. Canada is going to be a big deal because they're just to the north of us, and they are going deep into dystopia right now. Anybody who's in Canada, I weep for you. The stuff I see them trying to pull with you right now, they're going more and more authoritarian every day. It's bad here, but America always has that one ace in the hole that keeps us from, it's like, pass whatever laws you want. At some point, we're just going to say no. And unlike Canada, where it's going to just be they get mowed down, I know they have guns in Canada, but it's not, trust me, it ain't the same. America just won't put up with it. You'll have whole states just say, fuck you, right? That's not what will happen in Canada. So I'm a little worried about Canada going forward. And I really hope that you guys in Canada, if you can either get out or get into the hills, because it's going to get worse for you guys, especially as this heats up. It's going to get so much worse. And I don't think it's going to get better for a long time for you guys, unless something snaps and you guys say enough and you guys do something about it. And the problem is, what can you do? At what point is violence the answer? At what point is something more than just activism the answer? I don't know. Because in this modern world, with everybody having an uptight attitude about everything, where, especially with the system wants you, both here in America and abroad, to get violent so that it can leverage that against you. This is why civil disobedience, Gandhi style stuff is the way to go right now. Everybody, as they try to roll in the new Eris variant, if you know anything about anything, listen, every single person listening to me right now, if you're listening, you know enough about paganism and stuff. The name Eris should be making the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. The fact that they're calling the newest variant Eris. Why would they call the latest variant Eris if it's not symbolic? Okay. Now, personally, I think that this is a show we're watching. I think that a lot of this is being staged for the benefit of people around the world, to get them to see how bad it is. But I don't know that for a fact. That's my hunch. So it's going to keep getting crazier. And everybody has a responsibility right now. I'm not saying that if you're genuinely scared, don't do this or that. I'm saying if they try to mandate, if they try to force, if they try to do any of that crap, do not comply. If I go to the supermarket over the winter and they've got a sign at the door saying you must wear a mask, I'm not wearing it. They're going to have to make me leave. And then I won't do business with them anymore. Because I'm not doing this again. No fucking way. But then there's another alternative. What if this is a real deal one? What if this is going to be a bioweapon? What if this is the big one? This is the one that's going to kill everybody. Yeah, it could be. Could be. I don't think so though. I think this is just more psyop bullshit trying to squish us, and it's not going to work. I think the vast majority of people are not going to fall for the Eris discord they're trying to pull. I think the vast majority of people are going to stand up. At least enough of us will stand up and say no, and they're only going to get so far. And I think this is just going to wither out. But they want to use this as a pretext to make next year a sloppy election. They're going to have riots. They're going to probably have all kinds of shit. They're probably going to stage shit. They're probably going to be a false flag. It's probably, that's what I'm saying. This next 12 to 16 months is probably going to be close to the worst that we've ever seen in our lives. I think next year is going to be at least as bad as 2020. I could be wrong, but I think it's going to be probably that bad. So everyone's got to prepare. If you're listening to me and you have enough funds and resources, get prepared for something that would make it so that you might not want to go to the store for a month or two. You hear me? I don't mean a week. I don't mean a couple weeks. I mean, get enough saved up. You want to have something you can barter. You want to have food and toilet paper and all the essentials that you can't live without, medicines. Have all that at least a month, 1 to 3 months bare minimum, preferably more, but 1 to 3 months bare minimum, so that you don't have to leave your home. Especially if you're in one of these blue cities or something like that, or one of these captured countries that are going to lock down hard. Get yourself into a position so you don't have to leave. Don't even get me started on Yuval Noah Harari. That guy is, the thing is, I know his mind because I listen to him and he's actually dead on about a lot of shit. The problem is that he's a total psychopath. He's a complete psychopath. And everything that he's right about, it's like when a psychopath tells you, you know, we can use this technology to do this and this and this. Yeah, he's completely right. He's not lying. He's not wrong. It's just the way that, and he'll couch it in, oh, we have to make sure everyone's protected from this bullshit. That's not what you're really doing. I know what you're doing, motherfucker. You're taking 1984 and using it as a guide, not a warning. That's your kind of mindset. You have this mindset of control. So, you know, don't think of yourself as helpless right now. The way I like to put it is this: every single day that you can avoid accepting their assistance or complying with their demands is a day of resources they've got to spend to try to push you back in that box. I'm speaking as a Luciferian here more than anything. Okay? People get like, oh, Thorne's all political. No, I'm speaking as a Luciferian first and foremost, which means this is all about freedom. You don't have to like my politics, but if you understand my Luciferian mindset, you understand that it's not about Thorne's a Republican, Thorne's a this or that, because I'm not. I haven't been a Republican in like 20 years. Okay, I'm not interested in Republicanism. Not interested in democratism. I'm interested in Luciferian libertarian philosophy that I apply to everything. And so that means that if you hear me saying those people are bad, it's because they mean to enslave you, kill you, whatever. I'm not saying the other side is an angel and good and that they're wonderful. I'm just saying, you know, people say like, don't pick the worst, don't pick the lesser of two evils. I'm not. That one's literally the evilest of all evils, trying to put you in a technocratic control grid where they control your body, your mind, everything. And that other guy has Christians rooting for him that are fundamentalist bigots. What the fuck? That's an easy choice for me. Is that an easy choice for you or not? I am really sick and tired of people going, I can't side with him because the Christians like him. Good. Get your ass over into that control grid over there. Take the fucking injections, put the fucking chip in your brain, roll over, and fucking just let it get shoved right up your ass so far you can't tell the difference about whether you're coming or shitting or what. Go for it. Don't call me a bigot or a racist because I don't want to go into that dark ass dystopia that you seem to think is great. Not fucking happening. It's just not. Exactly, Twisted Jack. Because I know how to deal with a bigot. What I can't deal with is a zombie army working for a system that literally wants to turn me into a slavery. That's down here. What they want to do is so much worse because it's a slavery where it's not even like they're just being brutal. They're just literally, your brain is just gone. They just own your brain. Like Yuval Harari says, we're hackable animals and the era of free will is over. I got news for you motherfuckers. The concept of free will is totally misunderstood. And when he says the concept, I got news for you. I got news for you. The only free will that's over is the NPC's free will. They never had it in the first place. Here's a bit of deep gnosis for you guys that you may not know. And this is just my opinion based on things that I've learned both inside magic, inside spiritual, mystical, channeling, etc. And also from just studying the lore, the mythology, the people that I mentioned before, Graham Hancock, Robert Sepper, all them. By paying attention to them and my own intuition, there is absolutely people that are, here's where it gets tricky. They are not spiritually evolved. They are not spiritually awake. They're not bad people. They're not subhuman. They're none of these things. I'm not making a value or moral judgment about them. There's just some people who are not as likely to awaken or see through lies or whatever. It could be because they were traumatized as they were young. It could be that they were never stimulated. They were never taught. It could be they were never challenged. And it could just be genetic or something spiritual. I don't know. But not everybody. And it's not a matter of intelligence. There are people with IQs of like 12 who get it. They just literally get it. It's instant to them. They go, oh, we're all one divine being. They don't need to have it explained to them because it's intuitively obvious. They're dealing with a higher intelligence than IQ. Okay. But there are people who, no matter what you do, can't get it. I was talking to a person, I don't know if they're listening right now. I don't even know what I probably recognize their handle if I saw him, but this guy, Alexander Ham, I was talking to him on Facebook the other day. And he agreed with me completely. I said, if you go back in antiquity, it's really obvious what happened. Some group of beings, whether they were proto-humans, whether they were like Lemurians, Atlanteans, aliens, Anunnaki, I don't know, don't care. Whatever your preference is, don't give a fuck. But they engineered a slave race for themselves. A pet race, if you will. Now, when we say a slave race, I don't mean slave in the most nefarious sense. I really don't think that was the point. I think that they were engineering, the primitive human species, proto-human species, the Denisovans, the Neanderthals, all them. They were engineering them to be more suitable for what they wanted. What that exactly was, I don't know. But it's in every ancient myth. From the story of the Nephilim to the story of the Anunnaki and the creation of man and all that. Every story always makes humanity out to be what? Either a pet or a slave or some kind of combination of the two. A servant class. Wasn't that we were going to be hated. We were beloved in most of these stories. They wanted us to be, treated well. They saw it as uplifting us. Okay. So it was, a lot of them were probably benevolent in this. Now, in their mind, they were being benevolent to us. And maybe a lot of them were. But something happened. There's a lot of I don't knows involved. I don't want to say because I don't know. But something happened. And either they were wiped out by an enemy, they were punished by another group that didn't like what they were doing, or we rebelled or something. I don't know, but that precursor civilization was wiped off the earth. And all we have left are some of these ancient ruins dating back probably well before we think that they were there, because you can't carbon date stone. So for all you know, the pyramids were there since 20,000 years ago. You don't know. So some of these things predate everything that we think it does. I guarantee you 100%. And maybe we did it to ourselves, Twilight. Yes, that's another very likely. Like I said, I don't want to give you like which one I think is the most likely. Every myth speaks of beings coming from outside, though, at least after the Atlantis period. So I think a lot of those myths that are talking about the Abkalu, Anunnaki, the gods, post-flood, all of that, I think that all comes, even Genesis or the Sumerian version of that, I think all of that is probably, for the most part, so let's say the creation stories of man were pre-flood, in other words, pre-Atlantis, and everything else is post-Atlantis, right? Let's assume that. So Atlantis, basically the flood myth, the universal flood myth, I think that's the story of, and when I say Atlantis, I don't just mean that one city. That's just our data point. Okay. I think there was a world spanning civilization. Atlantis was just one of the major cities of it. You know, it was just one of the major city states like DC or London or something, you know. When that got wiped out, humanity was set back. That other species or group of precursor humans or aliens or whatever the fuck it was, whatever the fuck that was, they either went underground, went to space, back underground, back into the ocean, wherever they come from, they went back. And that ever since we have been a species in quarantine, the zoo hypothesis, basically, on some level. That's on some level. I mean, if you read, what's his name? The guy who did The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, he did a story talking about how Earth is basically quarantined from all other beings because we're fallen. And I think he was tuning into something there because it's sort of in our myths. So we might be living the zoo hypothesis right now. We might be a petri dish. We might be any of those things. We might be a mistake that they don't feel like, you know, imagine a bunch of scientists get together and create a hybrid species in a petri dish, and someone finds out, right? Like, let's say the world wasn't so crazy and we had good guys actually in control of things. And some third world country started making chimeras, human donkey chimeras, where it's got the head of a donkey and the ass of a human and all kinds of shit. And they've got a brain like a human, but they're absolute grotesque monsters, right? But they're not just dumb animals. They have intelligence. If we found out about that, what's the ethical thing to do? To cleanse the whole population of them? Or to destroy the people who created them and then try to figure out a way to be merciful to these creatures and give them a chance? Like, which would you do? So maybe that's what's happening to us. Maybe we were created and the people who made us broke some law somewhere and they got taken out, and someone came and gave a civilization and said, let's see what happens to them. I don't know. That's just I'm just shooting the shit. Okay. Giving you guys some ideas. What I do want you to take away from this, though, I mean, I do have channelings of this stuff that I could go into that are not what I just said. I have channelings that when I was a young kid were basically like a combination of the Book of Enoch and the Book of the Giants, and the Sumerian myths. And I had absolutely zero knowledge of all of those things when I channeled these things. When I was a kid at 13, 14, when I channeled the original stuff, I almost channeled, not word for word, but plot point by plot point, the story of, you know, a lot of the Sumerian myth, a lot of the Enochian myth, and a lot of the Book of Giants stuff. Not all of it, not word for word, just a lot of it. And of course, you know, as a young teenager, I was having my power fantasy as being a half demon, you know, fallen angel, child of a watcher, Nephilim type of guy. You know, like my bloodline is Nephilim or something. You know, it was all pretty fun. It was all anime, you know. But embedded in that story was truth. I guarantee it, because as I've gotten older, every single thing that I channeled and wrote about was really close to what people are talking about now. So I feel vindicated and validated, at least that my mythology was similar to what was written and talked about. So I don't like to be really open about that stuff because I don't know it enough. I don't believe it enough. It's in my maybe pile. It might even be in my probably pile, but I don't have it worked out enough to really say. I would rather point to people like I spoke about, like Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock, Bright Insight, Uncharted X, and Robert Sepper, and people like that. I'd rather point to them because they are the ones who are doing the hard work of really getting it ironed out. And I know that there's some controversy with each one of them over whatever issue here and there. Nobody's fucking perfect. I don't know if Robert Sepper's a white supremacist or not. I don't know what his deal is. Sometimes I think he is. Sometimes I think he's just being an objective anthropologist type who's a little narcissistic, and that's his thing. I don't know. His content usually checks out. That doesn't mean I haven't ever read something and go, are you sure? But it usually checks out when you do double checks on it. You know, there's a lot of these guys. There's a lot of these people. One thing I will say is that we have a big problem. So here's the failing of the human genome of the human species. You want to know what it is? This is something I've channeled, by the way. This is not just Thorne's opinion. One of the biggest defects of human beings is we are really locked into this. Yes, I don't like Billy Carlson. I don't know why. I don't know what it. You talking about? Yeah, I like him. Like, I'll get back to what I was saying in a minute. Billy Carson, I both have a lot of red flags over, but I also respect a lot. Like, his intelligence is off the charts. There's no question. He's quick as fuck. He knows how. He's sharp as like a fucking obsidian blade. Okay, touch your skin, he'll cut you. He's sharp as fuck. But I don't know if I trust him. I think that he has an objectivity problem. So I think he makes a lot of good calls, but I think he speaks. When you hear him talk about things, he makes assertions as if they're foregone conclusions. Now, maybe some of them are. Maybe he's seen things we don't know about. That's fine. But I also know that he says things that it sounds to me like they're his opinion that he states as fact. And that's a giant red flag for me. I do it too, but I tell you I do it. You know what I mean? I'll be like, this is true, this is true, this is true. But at the same time, I might not be right. I want you to always take what I say with a grain of salt. Always. I don't want anybody to just be like, Thorne said, and that's your gospel. Don't ever do that. Ever. So, you know, he's kind of half a dozen one way and six of the other. You know, I used to watch him a little bit and too many red flags popped up and I stopped watching him. I'm more interested in the people that are being canceled. If people are being canceled by the system, I'm more interested in what they have to say. You know, people who've got History Channel specials, you know, that doesn't mean they're lying 100%. It just means there's at least 20% poison in anything you see in the mainstream television. Anything on network cable television, at least 20% poison in it, minimum. That's why when Alex Jones did that History Channel episodes where they were talking about the FEMA camps and everything, I'm like, all true, but there's 20% poison in there. Be careful. So I'm more interested in the ones that are getting canceled. The Robert Seppers, the Grant Hancocks that have a hard time getting hurt. I don't trust many people. Even the ones I trust, I still sit there and go, okay, but giant grain of salt, no matter what. You know, like the Ancient Aliens TV show. It's all pretty cool shit. But what are they leaving out? Or what are they adding that's not true? Or why did they pick this one expert to represent this thing and not this other guy? So the problem is we are in the middle of a very thick fog of war because part of the Great Awakening is learning to discern. That's something that isn't spoken of. A lot of these new age guru types that are telling you it's the Great Awakening are saying, it's all going to be great. It's all going to be fine. 3G to 5G. We're all going to ascend. And the end is coming of the system. You don't got to worry no more. Yeehaw, rub the crystals in your armpits. You're going to heaven. No. You need to learn fucking discernment, which means you need to learn to be both skeptical and open-minded at the same time. You need to be able to hold two or more ideas equally in your mind. It may even just be something psychic and spiritual. What if our whole idea of the cosmos is wrong and that universe we see out there is actually just a reflection of the divine in a way that looks like stars and planets? I'm not saying that's what it is. Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you don't know. You haven't been there. Our authorities are lying to us about almost everything. And they don't even know they're doing it. That's how twisted the system has been. Some guy saying that the universe is a fucking atom. They don't fund Dr. McCullough, who says that the COVID thing is a fraud, blah, blah, blah. They fund the people that makes the big pharma the money. They don't fund the people that counter the humble soon. At least start cross-platforming myself, because it's, you know, Google is going so... It's still doing it?
Yeah. It's now. I reloaded, I refreshed it. Yeah, no, it's like freaking throttled.
Yep. And I'm watching the view count go straight to shit. We went from 30 some odd to 20. Yep. I said Voldemort. Yeah, I did, Twilight. I did. Was it when I said McCullough, COVID, or what, motherfuckers? We got you. We got you. We know. Oh, it's even telling me on my other thing that I've got a whole bunch of drop frames. Nice. All right. How many of you guys are saying that I'm still good right now? Drop frames, almost 40% drop. Oh, something's going on.
They're censoring it.
Yep. They're fucking censoring, guys. I guarantee it. They are live censoring right now. All right. If it keeps going, I will restart the stream if it gets really bad.
It's still buffering on my end.
It's still buffering on your end? All right, let me see something here. I mean, that's a YouTube thing. That's not...
Oh, still buffering. Oh, still buffering.
Well, it would have paused for a minute because I disconnected.
Yeah, I refreshed it.
No, I disconnected. So like it was supposed to stop and start again. So look at that. We're down to fucking... The fucking viewers